The golden couple of the Cornhusker State is broken. Laura Farms, the smiling face of American farming, is at the center of a mystery. Her husband Grant has vanished from the channel and her wedding ring has vanished from her finger. I mean, it's just like, what's next? We're just gonna see how close we could get to this thing. You won't believe the theories online, but the truth is more shocking than any rumor. It's a story of a hidden past, a shady deal, and a devastating secret that is eating Grant alive from the inside out. The heartbreak is just beginning. Breadcrumbs of a broken marriage. On paper, Laura and Grant Wilson have it all. They are the American dream, remade for the digital age. Laura, a fifth-generation farmer from Nebraska, became an overnight sensation. We're talking about a woman in her mid-20s, around 5 feet 7 inches, who handles million-dollar machinery with a smile that lights up the screen. Her YouTube channel, Laura Farms, just blew up. It's not just a channel, it's an empire. She gained hundreds of thousands, then millions of followers. These fans were totally captivated by her genuine passion for farming. Good morning, everybody. Today we get out in the field and do a job with my brand new surprise tractor. What most people don't realize is just how big this operation is. This isn't a little hobby farm. The Wilsons manage thousands of acres of Nebraskan soil. The combines, tractors, and planters seen in her videos. That's millions of dollars in equipment. Laura made farming look more than just important. She made it look cool. And then there was Grant Wilson. When Laura and Grant got engaged and then married in December of 2020, it seemed like the perfect next chapter. We got married in 2020, we had a co-wedding, which is kind of crazy. Here was a handsome, supportive partner who shared her love for the land. He loved dirt bikes and living life outdoors. Their wedding photos were pure happiness. They were a power couple, a team. It just worked. Grant started appearing in more videos, and the fans loved their dynamic. He was the quiet, steady force next to Laura's bright public energy. They were building an empire, not just of corn and soybeans, but of content and merchandise. Hats, shirts, and a brand that celebrated the heart of America. But here's the deal. Lately, that perfect picture has started to blur. And that's putting it lightly. The easy smiles in their social media posts seem a little tighter, a little more forced. The longtime followers, the ones who notice everything, began pointing out the small things. The crazy part is they were right. Grant was appearing less and less. When he was on camera, he seemed distracted. His eyes held a shadow that wasn't there before. Then came the biggest red flag. The one that got the rumor mill churning so fast it could power the farm. The missing wedding ring. Laura's left hand, once always showing the symbol of her marriage, was suddenly bare. It wasn't just in one video. It was in video after video. Now look, people tried to explain it away. Of course, it's dangerous to wear jewelry around heavy machinery. That's practical. That makes sense. But this felt different. In the court of public opinion, a missing ring screams trouble. It felt like a deliberate sign, a quiet admission that the perfect life they were selling was in fact broken. The question started as whispers, then grew into a roar that echoed across comment sections and fan forums. Is this the end for Laura and Grant? The silence from the farm was deafening. This is where the story starts to get dark. The fan detectives went into overdrive. They dissected every frame of her videos. They pointed to the lack of candid couple photos. They noticed how she seemed to be filming more and more on her own. A general feeling of loneliness crept into her content. It felt like she was carrying the weight of the entire farm and her massive brand completely on her own shoulders. I know this might sound crazy, but this year we are being forced to plant a crop into the ground. If we don't, we are going to lose so much money. The most persistent, loudest whisper was divorce. The heartbreaking truth seemed simple. The pressure of fame, the stress of farming, it had all become too much. The golden couple was splitting up. But the divorce rumors were hiding something much darker. Diagnosing the rumors. When the divorce theory didn't fully explain Grant's changed appearance, the rumors took a much darker, more tragic turn. The word cancer started appearing next to his name. Laura Farms' husband cancer became a horrifyingly popular search. People speculated that Grant was secretly battling a terrible illness. This is the theory that tugged at people's hearts. It would explain everything. It would explain his absence from videos. It would explain his changed appearance, the weight loss, and the strain that was so obvious to everyone. Some fans even offered prayers and well wishes. Convinced they had uncovered the heartbreaking truth, they believed Laura's strength wasn't just for the farm, but for her ailing husband. It is time for another day in the pivot track closer. We have one more field left to do. Then after we're done with that field, we are going to go visit Grant out in a different field. It was a tragic, noble story. For a minute there, it seemed like the most logical explanation for the gloom that had descended upon the once sunny Laura Farms channel. But here's the thing about secrets. The real ones are often far more complicated than a simple diagnosis. What if the sickness wasn't in his body, but in his past? At the end of the day, a physical illness can be fought, can be shared, can be supported. A secret, however, is a different kind of disease. It's a cancer of the soul. It eats away at you from the inside out, isolating you and poisoning everything you touch. Credible sources and official statements were nowhere to be found. Why? Because this wasn't something a doctor could confirm. The truth was buried much deeper. It was buried in a place Grant Wilson never ever wanted to revisit. A place far from the cornfields of Nebraska and a life he lived long before he ever met Laura. The whispers of divorce and disease were just smoke distracting everyone from the real fire. A devastating scandal from Grant's past. One that he had kept hidden from everyone. I mean, the last time that we were out here was to irrigate, but that was, I hope you never come in this way. That's what I'm saying. And just maybe he had kept it hidden from Laura herself. He wasn't always a quiet farmer. His past held a wild, dangerous secret. A tragedy before Laura. But here's the kicker. Before Grant Wilson was the quiet farmer standing next to a YouTube star, he was a different man. Long before he met Laura, sources close to his old circle of friends speak of a wilder time. A time defined by a single fateful trip that changed everything. Apparently, they talk about a place called Isla Purita or the Lost Island. It's a tiny, privately owned speck of land in the Caribbean. It's known only to a select group of wealthy, reckless young men. It was a place with no rules, a playground for the rich, where anything could and did happen. For 1 week every year, it was a blur of lavish parties, high-stakes gambles, and dangerous behavior far from any prying eyes. It was on Grant's third trip to the island almost 10 years ago that the craziest scandal of his life unfolded. He and a few friends had gotten involved in a shady investment scheme. It was pitched by a charismatic but dangerous figure they met on the island. The plan promised to turn a few $1,000s into millions. It was supposed to happen in just a few months, all through offshore accounts and untraceable transactions. It was foolish and it was greedy. And Grant, younger and more impressionable, jumped in with both feet. He even convinced some of his buddies to do the same. Truth be told, it wasn't just an investment. It was a trap. The deal went south, and it went south in the worst way imaginable. The money, a sum close to $250,000 from the entire group, vanished overnight. The charismatic figure was gone. But it got worse. The collapse of the scheme wasn't just a financial loss. It triggered a brutal falling out among the friends. Accusations flew. Trust was shattered. And one of Grant's closest friends, a man who had lost his entire life savings in the deal, fell into a deep, dark depression. That depression had devastating consequences just months later. Grant was left carrying an unbearable weight of guilt. In his mind, he wasn't just the guy who lost money. He was the guy who had led his friends into financial ruin. He was the one who set off a chain reaction of tragedy. He fled the island and the life he knew. He vowed to never speak of what happened there. He moved back to Nebraska, burying the ghost of Isla Purita deep inside him. He changed his life, embraced the simple hard work of farming, and tried to become the man everyone sees today. He really thought he had escaped his past. We've been going for a while now. Get this field opened up. Things are looking good. The corn here is a little blown down. Not as bad as the last few fields, but it still kind of broke over. But the island has a long shadow and a secret that big never stays buried. the real reason for the missing ring. Let's be clear. The man Laura Farms fans see today is not the same man who married her in 2020. The change has been slow. It's been a gradual erosion of the happy-go-lucky guy who once grinned for the camera. The tragedy of Isla Pura didn't just stay in the past. It festered. The guilt from that disastrous trip became the unseen sickness that everyone was mistaking for cancer. This is the heartbreaking truth of the matter. Grant is not sick with a physical disease. He is being eaten alive by his own history, and suddenly it all started to add up. His behavior began to change in subtle ways. He became withdrawn and quiet. He started avoiding social gatherings and even shying away from filming. The man who once loved adventure now seemed to prefer solitude. He would spend hours by himself, lost in thought, out on the farthest edges of their thousands of acres. Friends noticed his paranoia. He became obsessed with privacy. He was constantly worried that someone from his past would resurface. Every new follower on their channel, every comment from an unfamiliar name was a potential threat. He started scrubbing his older social media. He deleted photos and erased any connection to his life before Laura. Bottom line, he was a man living in fear. He was terrified that the world, and worse, Laura's millions of fans, would discover he was not the wholesome, perfect farmer he pretended to be. And there's some guy that asks us a question or riddle that we have to answer before we get to that part of the field. Maybe he could maintain our bridge. This immense ongoing stress is what people are seeing. This is why he looks tired. This is why he seems distant. So, believe it or not, the cancer rumor wasn't entirely wrong. It just had the wrong diagnosis. It is a cancer of regret. Make no mistake, this secret is the reason for the distance between him and Laura. How could he be fully present in his marriage when a part of his mind is constantly reliving his biggest failure? The lie stands between them, a silent, invisible wall. It's possible Laura knows some of it. Or maybe she only knows that something is deeply, terribly wrong with the man she loves. A pain he refuses to share. This is the heartbreaking reality behind the rumors. Laura is likely trying to protect him. She's trying to hold their world together while he silently falls apart. She takes off her ring, not because the marriage is over, but perhaps because it's a painful reminder. A reminder of the vows and the promise of a shared life that now feels threatened by a ghost from the past. This leaves Laura stuck with an impossible choice. The lie is close to falling apart. So, when you step back and look at the whole picture, it all becomes clear. The swirling rumors around Laura Farms and her husband Grant are not separate bits of gossip. They are all symptoms of a single devastating secret. The whispers of divorce. They are born from the very real emotional distance created by the ghost of E.A. Purta. The heartbreaking theories of a tragic illness. They are a misinterpretation of a man suffering under the crippling weight of guilt and fear. Every strange smile, every missed video, and that missing ring can all be traced back to one fateful week on a forgotten island nearly 10 years ago. People watching this are looking for a mystery. They're wondering if all this happened overnight. Are we missing a key detail? The thing is, the real truth is something deeper and harder to fix than divorce or illness. Grant is a man who can't escape his past. He built a new life that looks perfect from the outside. He and Laura work hard. They share their life and it all looks honest. But underneath that perfect picture is a big secret that's now starting to break everything apart. Which leaves Laura, you guessed it, stuck between a rock and a hard place. She wants to protect their farm, their brand, and her husband's mental health. But hiding the truth is getting harder. If she tells the truth, she could lose everything they've worked so hard to build. The fact of the matter is, Laura isn't just fighting to keep the farm running. She's fighting to save her husband from himself. Their biggest problem isn't angry fans. It's the secret that Grant tried to bury. That secret is now rising to the surface and it might ruin everything. The harvest season is coming, but what they reap might not be corn. Could be the results of a lie that stayed hidden for far too long. What happens next depends on Laura. Will she stay quiet to protect what's left or risk losing everything to finally be free? Let us know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more hidden stories.